Thank you all for the happy Easters. I hope you had a wonderful Easter weekend too. And this is actually me making Easter dinner. I thought I'd just share the process with all of you. And Easter is my favorite holiday meal to make because a lot of it can be done ahead of time. And I just find it so simple. So I'm starting off with making some deviled eggs. So I am just getting my water. I put a little bit of baking soda in there. I've heard that it makes it easier to peel the eggs. So I'm just trying to figure out how many eggs I want to put in. So I think I'm going to do 9. I think usually one of them pops, or I like to have a little bit of an extra yolk for it. So I boil my eggs the way that my mother taught me. You put them in the water, you put them on the stove, and then you bring them to a boil, and you boil them for 1 minute, and then you turn the stove off, and then you let them sit in the boiling water for 15 minutes. Continuing with the theme of Veda, of staying up on all of those mundane tasks, it makes it so much easier whenever I'm in the kitchen and I can kind of multitask. So instead of waiting for the eggs to come to a boil, I'm going to be productive and cut up the broccoli to make the broccoli salad. I was going to make it earlier in the week. I had one little broccoli crown, and then I'm thinking, no, I'm going to go ahead and make it for Easter. And then that way it's great to have for a couple of days after with the ham, and there'll probably be a few deviled eggs left. But I was looking ahead a little bit too. It's something that we can enjoy for our dinner, but then also have more to enjoy a couple of days later. Because I find with the salad, sometimes it's better on the second or third day. And the weather was very strange on this day. It was very sunny and nice out, but it was very cold. The wind was very, very cold. So I'm starting off in a long sleeve shirt, and I'm hoping to change in a blouse. But the wind was pretty strong, and I wanted to make sure that I was comfortable. But I really wanted to get the eggs and the broccoli salad done as early as I could so we can enjoy a little bit of the sunshine that was going on this particular day. I've asked a few things over Veda, so here's another one. Miracle Whip or mayonnaise? My mom always used Miracle Whip, and this recipe calls for a cup of mayonnaise, half a cup of sugar. I never use that much, and then like a tablespoon of vinegar. But my mom always used Miracle Whip, and then I bought mayonnaise one time, and I really didn't like it because Miracle Whip's a little bit tangier. But in the summertime, every once in a while, like I remember when I was a child, my mom would make homemade mayonnaise because of their big garden. I think she would often do it for like the nice ripe tomatoes. So that's the only time I really remember my mom like making or using mayonnaise. And I did the dressing, and I'm doing it a little bit different. I'm just doing it on the broccoli, and then I'm going to add all the toppings. So it's still waiting for the eggs to finish. So I'm getting a glass bowl, and then I'm just going to put a bunch of ice in here so that way I can do the ice bath. And that's what my mom did. She'd let them sit for 15 minutes, and then she'd do them under just cold running water. And I just do it the way my mom taught me. I don't know any other way to make boiled eggs. So I'm just going to let the water run, and then I'm back to finishing up my broccoli salad. Like, I'm really trying to multitask, and I keep it really simple. I do red onion, and then I do bacon bits, and then I do shredded cheese. I know some people put raisins in there. You could probably put craisins, whatever you have, but I just keep it pretty simple. I like using the red onion. I really like the color that it adds to the dish, and then I'm using the bacon bits that I got at Costco last time, and these are so much better than the other ones I bought at Walmart. And I think this bag was maybe $1 or $2 more, and it's like double the size, and it's just such high quality. And that's what I say about certain things at Costco. You just can't beat the price and the quality, and these bacon bits are one of them. So my timer went off, so now I'm just going to go ahead and put my eggs in the ice water, and then I'm going to finish up making the broccoli salad. I don't really use measurements for this salad either. It's just one of those things where I kind of eyeball it. So this is what I had left for cheddar cheese, and I'm just going to go ahead and grate it all. I used kind of a smaller to medium-sized red onion, and then I had 3 broccoli crowns that I used, and I just kind of put the bacon bits in until it kind of looked good enough. And that's the thing about some recipes. You know, some of it you just kind of go by sight, and there's not really any kind of recipe. And that's why sometimes it's always like hard to recreate something, because when you just kind of throw stuff in, and you're always like trying to find that right consistency or texture. And I think once you do it over and over again, like you figure it all out. So I'm just getting everything cleaned up, and then I'm just going to put it in another bowl. My mom would always do that. She'd always like make her potato salad and all that in one bowl. and then she'd put it in another bowl, and then she'd have all the clean edges and everything, and then, she'd put a little bit of paprika or something on her potato salad, and then she presented in that. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some saran wrap on this, and then I'll sit in the fridge all day. So now I'm going to go ahead and peel my eggs. So I did a couple and they did pretty good. So I'm just doing it over the compost bag. And that's one of the things is I don't know how some people boil their eggs, but I know when I do it, I never have that little gray thing around the egg. I know sometimes that can happen, and whenever you're making deviled eggs, sometimes it's not the prettiest thing to look at. So I've always been very fortunate that my eggs turn out right, and that's because it's the way my mother taught me. So comment down below, let me know how you do your hard-boiled eggs. So I'm just using my old steak knife here to cut them in half, and then I just wipe it on the paper towel, because I find if you don't have a clean edge, it can not cut nice, you have those yolks on there. So I think I had one that was kind of broken, so I only used half of it. So I'm just mashing up the yolks, and then I'm putting in my Miracle Whip, a little bit of mustard, and salt and pepper. It's just one of those things too, there's not really a recipe to it. It's just kind of getting the right consistency. Sometimes I'll chop up a little bit of green onion or a little bit of red onion, but I didn't do that today. And I do find that my deviled eggs aren't as good as they used to be, because my secret ingredient was a sweet onion mustard that I bought for years. And for a while, I could only get it at one store, and now that store doesn't carry it at all. And I find that my deviled eggs just aren't the same since I had to go back to just regular mustard. So I was trying to figure out the easiest way to do this, and I got my Yeti out with a Ziploc bag, and the spatula just cleaned up everything really easy. So I am just going to go ahead and cut a little hole in the corner, and then I'm just going to pipe it into the whites. That's one thing I always do. I either overfill my eggs and I never have enough filling. So I was trying to do the best that I could, and when I got down to the end, there was one that was just a little bit short compared to the others, so I had to get a knife out and take a little bit off of the really big ones, but it all worked out. I was able to get all of the eggs nicely stuffed, and I did have a couple of things for deviled eggs to put them on, and I'm you know what, I use it once or twice a year, and I can do it on a plate, or sometimes if I do it in the summertime, I just put them in a Pyrex container with a lid, just for easy putting in the fridge and then putting them out for the barbecue. And then I'm just going to finish them off with a little bit of paprika, and then put some more saran wrap on them. And then that is all that I need to do this morning. The deviled eggs and the broccoli salad, those are the two biggest things, and I am glad to have them done and out of the way. We enjoyed the rest of our morning and had a little bit of a snacky lunch, and then I just got everything cleaned up and running the dishwasher, so that way everything is taken care of before we start getting dinner going. But I'm going to do a little bit of prep while I'm in the kitchen here. So I got the potatoes out. I will link the recipe down below. It called for 6 Yukon Gold potatoes, or 2 pounds. So I kind of weighed out 2 pounds, and I just peeled the potatoes, and then I'm just thinly slicing them, and I'm just going to put them in cold water just to have them prepped to go with that. And I just wasn't happy with the quality of these potatoes. I get them when they're cheaper at Food Basics, but I find the quality is not as nice as some of the russet potatoes that I get. And usually what I do them for is I just keep the skins on and then I air fry them. They're really great for that, but I don't know, there's something about these potatoes, I just didn't feel it was the normal quality that I normally get. So it's one of those things, sometimes you buy things on sale or it's less quality, and this was one of those times, but there's nothing I could do about it. These were the potatoes that I had. So I still have a few little dishes to clean up, and then I have some things to wash my hand, but I really just wanted to make sure that I could get the potatoes sliced ahead of time. And then I'm just putting a little bit of salt in here and just rinsing them a couple of times. So this pan, it kind of burned whenever I was making the onions and mushrooms the night before with the steaks. And then I have the buns ready to go. So I'm going to start kind of at 3:30, kind of assembling everything, hopefully. And then it says to bake for an hour covered, and then take the cover off, and then 30 minutes. So we have all afternoon to enjoy. That is the goal. So I have prepped what I can, and then I'm going to come back and start making the scalloped potatoes. We enjoyed the majority of our afternoon, and I'm a little bit later than 3:30 getting to the potatoes, but I have a couple of onions here that I'm slicing up. Sometimes I dice them, but today I felt like slicing them. And whenever I was a child, I did not like my mom's scalloped potatoes because she had onions in them. And when I was a child, I didn't like onions. But now, as an adult, I find if there's not onions in it, it just doesn't have the flavor. So I'm having a quarter of a cup of butter in my pan and I'm going to melt it. And I'm finding that this element here, even on the lowest setting, is very, very hot. Like I burned my pan the night before doing the mushrooms and onions for the steak. And then I find this one here is really hot too. So another problem with my Samsung stove. So I'm just going to go ahead and season this with some salt, some pepper, and some dried thyme. And then I am going to add in a quarter of a cup of flour and then just whisk it in. And then you kind of let it kind of cook for a minute just to kind of brown it up a little bit. So I'm just going to keep whisking it, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in the milk. And then you're going to add in 2.5 cups of milk. So I'm just using the one container I had, and then I had to open up another one. So that's why I always make sure I have lots of milk, because you never know when you're going to run out. So I always like to at least have one backup and then an extra. So I was glad to get everything stocked up last week. So everything was really easy to enjoy this weekend, from simple breakfast to kind of snacky lunches and some nice meals that we had on Saturday and Sunday. I took the day off from filming on Saturday, and it was a really, really nice day, and we've had a really lovely weekend, and just thought I'd share making the dinner. So you just have to be a little bit patient here just to have the milk thicken up a little bit. And I'm really glad that I finally got a big whisk, because I have this little one and I use it all of the time. But I was glad that I was able to find a bigger one that I like. I've had a lot of different whisks over the years, but I find like the handle always breaks off. It's like silicone or plastic, but this one I have been very happy with. So like I said, I had it on the lowest setting, but it just seemed really hot. So I'm just going to go ahead and spray this casserole dish. And this was one of those like purchases I bought at Canadian Tire. It was like one of those sales. It had this one and another one, and I didn't use the other one, and this is the one I kept, and I love it. I use it all of the time. So I'm just doing a layer of potatoes, a layer of onions, and then another layer of potatoes. And then I'm just going to take my sauce and then pour it over. And it thickens up really nice. And then you just take your knife and kind of move things around just to make sure that everything is kind of coated, and then it kind of gets to the bottom. So I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees, and then I'm just going to put tinfoil over it, and then I'm going to bake this for an hour. So while that was waiting, I have to let that pot soak a little bit. I have the ham in here. I just put a little bit of maple syrup and a little bit of water. Carrots are ready to go. So it's 4:54. So as it gets closer to that half an hour where I bake it uncovered, everything will be ready to go. So these are the potatoes after an hour. I just wanted to make sure that they were baked, and they were. So they just take another 30 minutes to brown a little bit on top. And then I put tinfoil on the ham, and then I have the carrots ready to go. So that's all I have to do. So I put a little bit more pepper and a little bit of parsley on top. So this is all going to go into the oven. 30 minutes, and then here's everything. So carrots, a little bit of brown sugar, butter, pepper, a little bit of parsley. Potatoes are ready to go. I use my electric knife to cut the ham, and then I have buns, some butter, there's the broccoli salad, and then the deviled eggs. I love this meal. It is my favorite meal to sit down and enjoy. So this is what my plate looked like, and everybody loves this meal. I don't know, there's something that's just kind of different about it compared to like turkey or beef, and this is what I make every Easter. So what do you do for Easter? Do you do ham, or do you do a turkey, or do you do both? And then we finished it off with dessert. I didn't make the carrot cake, but when we got steaks for the night before, I picked up a small one, and it was delicious, and I enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed making Easter dinner with me. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow for another day of Veda.